What's up? Welcome to Sparkling Wine, the show where we laugh, we cry, and we talk about pie.
I'm Elena Dottie Champagne Walker, your host and person who has started to fuse with their bed.
I got a new monitor stand this week so I could record and edit from my bed because my back's been getting sore from sitting at the desk. And, it's great, but I do wonder if it's going to make things better or worse. Like, part of me is getting real critical of how much time I spend,
in and on my bed,
because it's supposed to be, real bad for your sleep quality. But, in this tiny box I live in, my options for a comfortable workspace are super limited. Our guest this week, Sky Blue, who you'll hear from in just a bit, is certainly not poor for space. He has a gorgeous camp called Fox Haven,
which ever since our conversation, I have not been able to stop thinking about.
I know it's winter there too, so obviously my visions of sunny walks in the grass and spending time by the water aren't seasonally accurate, but it really does make me miss green spaces. We also talk about boundary setting a bit, and that's been a big topic for me. Specifically, I've been grappling with the boundary of how often I should allow myself to mention my dad on this show.
I don't know if he would ever even bother to, listen to this, because he never honestly goes out of his way to engage with my projects or anything, but
I'm still always really scared that, I'm going to hurt him or something. And everything I say about him is true, but he would absolutely be embarrassed by my sharing it. Also, I'm really conscious of the fact that, people might already be getting sick of it. My daddy issues are showing or whatever. But, it's something that a lot of people, but specifically women and people who were raised female, they struggle with. The relationship so many of us have with our fathers is very unique and complex, and I still have trouble navigating mine constantly. I find talking about it can help keep things in perspective and not let my memories, which, can't always be relied on, it keeps them from being clouded by time and outside suggestion. So if any of you have questions or stories about your daddy issues and how you can manage them or how you do, you can send them to sparklingwinepod@gmail.com or submit a form at bit.ly/sparklingwinestories. I'm happy to keep you anonymous if that's what you'd like. We want you to be entertained and soothed by this show, not put on blast. If you think your experiences might make you a good guest, you can submit yourself for consideration at bit.ly/sparkling / just checking if you're listening, sparkling wine guest, or once again, send us an email or a message. You can always find us on social media at Sparkling Wine Pod on most platforms. Twitter's the only weird one where we're at Sparkle Wine Pod. And if you want to support the show, you can do so by joining our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Sparkling Wine Pod. Right now, we're working on some really exciting exclusive content. And, we're also working on some exclusive merchandise for you. So all those links and more are in the show notes. Remember, you can always email us at sparklingwinepod@gmail.com or send us a message on social with anything you want to share, just to say hi. Please bug me as much as you want with any inane bullshit at all. I'll be mega flattered. And now please enjoy my chat with Sky Blue.
I am joined today by Sky Blue, who is a lovely friend of mine who I've done plenty of shows with. I've done Rocky Horror Picture Show and burlesque shows. They're a fabulous drag queen. Love Sky Blue so much. So welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks so much. I'm looking forward to it. It should be fun. I mean, a great way to break up this living in the plague times.
Absolutely. So the first question of the day is always just, how are you doing? Honestly and truthfully, how are you doing today?
Today, I'm doing well. It's a snowy, blustery day, and I have been enjoying the sauna last night, and yeah, it's been going well. I'm pretty good today.
Oh yeah, having access to a sauna would definitely make a day better, I think.
Yes, care to teleport up, and you can use the sauna, and I'll just kind of wave at you from a distance?
I wish it worked that way. Oh, my goodness. Okay. And I do also always like to ask if there's anything you've done for yourself today. So you already mentioned the sauna, but have you taken a moment to address something for yourself and really do a kindness for yourself today?
A little bit earlier, I went off snowshoeing and took a couple pictures of just the lake and just some nice scenery. Just took a few minutes and enjoyed that.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds like a really nice day. Because why don't you let everybody know where you're at right now?
Well, I am up at Fox Haven. It's a camp area that's specifically for different alternative communities, and we have events when it's not during the apocalypse. We like to have events, and we invite all kinds of different groups and people that have ideas or things. I'm actually just working with a art professor, and they're talking about, when the plague is done, having an amazing art self-expression, self-discovery camp up there. I also do camps for different fetishes. There are different, I'm working with someone that they're talking about doing a tantric week retreat there. And it's a place that's halfway in between Sudbury and North Bay. It's 130 of its own acres of land with its own lake that no one else has access to except for the beavers and herons and animals there. It has an island on it, about 50 campsites or so, plenty of room for maybe 8 RVs, and enough room for about 18 people to stay inside. It has lots of flowers, an expansive green space, forests. It's on the Canadian Shield, and it's great because it's so private and secluded that you don't have to worry about conservative, ridiculous outsiders coming and gawking.
Absolutely, yeah. Just making sure you've got that space to feel totally safe and nobody's going to like sort of leer at you or invade your privacy.
Well,
It
the
sounds like an
driveway is
absolute beautiful spot.
the driveway is 1.5 kilometers, so you have the gate that has a combination lock that's changed for each camp, so only the campers have the access code. So it's really easy and fun.
Oh, that's fantastic. And how long have you been involved?
Well, myself and 2 friends purchased the place a couple years ago, actually 3 years ago as of this February. And before that, I was renting it from an amazing person who still is a neighbor. They calved off a small piece of the property, and they're an amazing person that I really like, and they're great. So we were renting it for, I think, 3 years before that, just for an event.
Amazing. And so, what would you say is your favorite event that you have participated in up there?
Oh, let's see. Well, there's this amazing, ridiculous, crazy age-played kids camp for adults called Tomcat that has 80 people that go to it approximately. And that's just so much fun because the place is just alive. There are people on the boats. There are people playing all kinds of games. Have you ever heard of Turbo Paint Twister?
No, I haven't. What's that?
Imagine you put down 2 or 3 or 4 twister boards, and where all the colors are, you put paint. And so then you have a spinner, and you've changed the spinner a bit, so it's not just right hand on red, left hand on blue. It's also right hand on someone else's head, left hand on a back. And so and it's crazy because you get paint everywhere, and the paint is also slippery, so you're starting to slip and slide, and it is the most ridiculous, fun, crazy game. We also have had epic pirate battles. We've had scavenger hunts, sing-alongs at the campfire, and a Easter egg hunt that had about 800 eggs hidden.
Oh my goodness.
I found a couple of them this year, 2 years after the event had occurred. So it's a great time. So that's the nice thing about having so much area, that you can have events that no one would dream of. I mean, who would hear about age players being able to be in the middle of the woods, being able to just dress as themselves? We're also planning a puppy camp. We've had a furry camp, and I'd really like to have a camp that focuses on trans, non-binary, two-spirited, their partners and chosen family, because it would be wonderful having beach and a lake and boats, and being able to know that a person can dress and present themselves in whatever way they wish to, and that there aren't going to be any frat boys in the next campsite or someone going by in a motorboat and doing the rubberneck.
Exactly, yeah. And like the opinions are just left where they need to be, which is not anywhere near where the people are having
it's the place.
their
We
good time.
called it Fox Haven because, there's foxes there amongst other canines, and but it was described by the person that had it before as their haven, and so a safe place, a sanctuary place where one could feel safe, and that's what we're trying to make it into.
Mm-hmm. And so would you say that like throughout your life, finding places that make you feel safe has been very important to you?
Very important. The household that I grew up in, I left when I was in high school because it wasn't a safe environment. So finding those places where you can feel safe, where you can be yourself, and where you are cherished and loved is important. And I think that everyone needs that, and not everyone has that enough in their life. So being able to provide this kind of a place is wonderful and so needed in this crazy world that we live in.
Absolutely. Do you have like a lot of people around you now that provide you with that love and support that you're always looking for?
Absolutely. I have definitely members of my chosen family, and it's quite wonderful having that. I mean, some of the people from Rocky Horror that we both know are part of that, and yeah, there's definitely a good, I'd say, dozen people that really provide that.
It's really good. I found with chosen families, they tend to, in some ways, be even bigger than, say, biological families in terms of the number of folks that you feel comfortable around and that you can reach out to. And I think that's always really, really a lovely thing.
Definitely. Well, in 2020, in the earlier part of the year, it really was cemented, that chosen family, just because of everything that happened. I was in the hospital because I had a horrible medical time, and I was there for 52 days, which was a very long period of time, and almost died and everything. And well, I guess if you want, we can get into what happened, because it's quite the story.
Absolutely. If you're comfortable, feel free. Yeah.
So May of 2019, I was up at Foxhaven doing Beltane, which is an amazing celebration with a maypole and with dancing around the fire. And after going on a boat ride, I came back and realized that I was having some pain in my groin. And then realized that my testicle had started to swell. And I mean, having big balls is one thing. Having something that's swollen 2 or 3 times the size, I mean, that's just ridiculously well endowed, and well endowed in a way that you don't want to be.
Yes.
And so went to the hospital, and throughout the next number of months, there were all kinds of issues. They'd never seen anything quite like this, at all like this. They talked to people in Europe and Australia and in the US and Asia, parts of it, and they couldn't find another case like this, where the testicles would just, well, think about people that have strokes in their brain, where little pieces die. Now translate that to your, hopefully not your, but my nuts.
Somebody's nuts.
And that's generally not what you want to have happen.
Yeah.
So it was waking up different almost every week, and having them different size, shape, consistency, texture, oddness. And then in January, ended up they were dead enough that they needed to be removed. And then there was all kinds of complications, which included vessels breaking and almost bleeding out, and all kinds of fun things.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's definitely a pain in the nuts. Or not anymore. So they were removed, but unfortunately it left me quite septic, in a horribly weakened state, and I was in the hospital for 52 days, which was quite something, to relearn how to walk and to be completely drugged out of my gourd with but it was amazing to see who in my life really stepped up and was there through the times that were not at all fun, and who definitely was not there. So it definitely cemented my chosen family, and really showed me who was really part of that, and who was a friendly acquaintance that enjoyed the fun times, but wasn't there for the times that were just plain ridiculous.
Yeah.
Or nuts, should we put it.
Or nuts, yes. I know, because I was hearing quite a bit about what was happening to you over that time. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, and myself, I also got ill right around that time and did not want to bring it into the hospital to see you. So,
I remember. Yeah.
So I definitely was like, I mean, honestly, I think that cold that I had during that time may have been COVID. I know everybody who was sick around then thought that it was, but I swear that was
it's a very good chance.
Yeah. So I definitely didn't want to bring that anywhere near you, but I was keeping abreast of the situation, and it was quite the journey for you. So
yeah. I mean, I'm allergic to nuts, and so obviously my body decided to take that literally and say, well, you're allergic to nuts, let's reject your own.
There you go.
I mean, that's just taking an allergy way over the top.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I think biological nuts should probably be left where they originated, if if they can be. And
mine obviously could not be. They were like, nope, we're done. We're out of here.
Yep.
I mean, it made sense that it was around the holidays, so I could have my own version of the Nutcracker. I definitely recommend going to the ballet more than that. But
And so how was the hospital experience for you? I know a lot of people can find that to be sort of a frightening and sterile environment to be in.
Oh, it was really well, the parts that I remember, because of course, when you're on three different types of morphine and just out of it, there's a lot of it that's quite blurry.
Hmm.
But being in the hospital and I mean, I was for a while unable to even myself sit up in the bed, much less do much of anything else. So it was very scary not knowing what was going to happen, how much I was going to be able to recover, if I was going to recover, and plus, since they still don't know exactly why it happened or what happened, I mean, they sliced them up and diced them up and looked at everything possible, and did tons of testing. Over 200 vials of blood taken.
Mm.
That's a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
I got to know the vampires of the hospital quite well, but it was also scary because they didn't really have the answers of what caused this, if it was going to be like, okay, we finished with the nuts, let's go on to another organ.
Hmm.
I mean, this is not the way you want to lose weight.
Definitely not.
But I know that in some place in the world they measure weight by stones, so technically I've lost 2 stones.
Oh, well, there you go.
I know, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Quick weight loss,
But
I guess.
but the crazy part was, as I was getting better and as I was finally getting able to be out of the hospital and then relearning how to walk and everything, I was like, yay, I'm all set to re-engage with the world, to be part of it, to go to events, to finally get into Rocky Horror, or maybe even start getting strong to be in burlesque. And then the world decided to shut.
Mm.
So I get out, and then the world's like, oh, he's out. Okay, everyone's closed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, no.
So it was like, this is just ridiculous. I had one event that I got to go to before the world shut down, which was a crazy time. It was, do you remember when Cats was around and people were doing all those fun performances, the burlesque and the drag performances? So I went and dressed up as a cat, and we had a great time. And then everyone realized just how bad COVID was getting, and the world shut.
So just one big last send-off. You didn't know it was the last one, but it was the last one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so since then, it's been very strange having so much contact with people in the hospital and friends, and because I was being helped to relearn how to walk 3 times a day with friends, and from going to that kind of socialization to suddenly none has definitely been quite a shock to the system.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I mean, right now, it would be wonderful to be able to get back into drag and burlesque and everything, because, I mean, tucking is going to be so much easier now.
Yes. You're just so excited to show off how, like, flat everything can get when you...
I know. And plus, I mean, I thought of, when I was in the hospital, the best tagline for my burlesque performances. I mean, Sky Blue, the unique eunuch. I mean, how great is that?
That's fantastic. Oh, I can't wait to see that on some posters. And
I know. And can you imagine some of the hosts, how excited they'll be? I mean, Velvet will just love that, and we'll have a ball with it, or 2 balls, or no balls, as my case is.
Yeah.
And Reddy, I mean, they will just, and Johnny Be Good, they will have so much fun being able to announce and play on that, because, I mean, it is ridiculous, or renutless. We'll work on better lines than that, but it's just, I mean, most people are very toxic masculinity, worried about that kind of thing. If they would lose things, they're not gonna want to talk about or have the common knowledge. But I'm like, hey, why not? I mean, hey, it'll make so that in gay sex there'll be more positions, because you won't have to worry about things getting painfully squished.
It's just one less thing in the way. Like, you can just...
Or 2.
Or 2, yeah. Oh, yeah, just more space for pleasurable things and less chance of pain.
Exactly. And so I'm really looking forward to, now that we have the vaccines that are coming out, and so it's only a matter of time before the world can words. So the world can begin again. It'll be really exciting to be able to get back out there, and I'm glad that now that we have the vaccine, it's not unknown that it won't happen, that it will happen or not.
Exactly. Yeah, we know it's coming. We just don't know how long it's going to be. So it'll just a matter of time.
Yes, but it's been very crazy and frustrating with all the scariness in the hospital, and then getting out and having the support system and friends just kind of gone. And it's great to go on Zoom or to call people or to go on Facebook video chat, but it's not quite the same.
Yeah, it really isn't. I know that like even through doing these interviews, like it just feels so there's like almost like a wall there when you're trying to connect with somebody because like I'm looking at your eyes, but I can't like actually look in your eyes, right? So it's
Yes.
yeah, it's like there's something missing.
And also us being theater folk and whatnot,
Mm.
we're whenever we see each other, there's hugs and everything, and you don't have that personal contact anymore.
Oh, I know. I haven't hugged anybody other than my partner in months since we shut down, and I miss it so much.
I had a great time this summer when every like once a month I could have someone up north at the camp, a couple people, because of course with social bubbles, I didn't want
Mhm.
to have one person's bubble mix with the other one. And since I was, but and so that was wonderful. I mean, I had Robert up there, and we had such a great time, and it was wonderful to be able to just be free and hug and have a great time, go on kayak rides and swim and everything. But since winter's hit and now that we're back in the second wave, that's just stopped
Mhm. Mhm.
as it needs to.
Yes, yeah, like it's all definitely understandable why it has to be like this, but it is hard and it is painful, I know, for a lot of people, especially those who are
Especially
alone.
people that like that creativity and like
Yeah.
to be on stage, and the whole cast and the crew and
Mhm.
everyone that we always have a great time with,
Yeah, yeah,
the
like you're
theater
just
family.
yeah, you're missing a whole piece of your fabric of who you are right now.
Yes,
Yeah.
and performing for the birds and the frogs and the groundhogs, it's not quite the same.
Yeah, I'm not sure they really get the nuance of what you're trying to bring to the performance when they're a frog.
I was working on some cape twirls and whatnot in front of a couple of the beavers. These two beavers, there's Napoleon and his wife, and then they have three babies this summer, and so I was enjoying that. And the babies were definitely curious, and they make this weird little mewing sound, and so I took that as kind of applause or interest, but it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
Especially when Napoleon, in the middle of it, slapped his tail and swam and went under the water, and as soon as he slaps his tail, everyone disappears.
Yeah, something
It's like,
about
okay,
it.
enough.
Yeah, he just didn't like something about it.
Oh well,
He's a man, that happens.
very silly.
Very, very silly. What is something that you have been doing recently? Like, I know you mentioned doing some cake curls in front of the beavers, which sounds like a fantastic way to occupy yourself. But have you taken on any like additional activities or tried anything new recently?
I have been learning how to cook, and which is cook a lot of different things and better things, which is a huge improvement from where I was in high school, where I I took singles cooking class, and we had three fire drills because of that
No.
in the school. And yeah, we have our cinnamon rolls bounced, but we could get
Mm.
them about 4 feet high, so it was a pretty good bounce, not like bouncy ball bounce, but
Yeah,
pretty
you
good
could.
for a baked good.
Yeah, you could play a couple games with those. Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
Uh, So so I've improved a lot since then, and now this past year I've done a ton of cooking. I've learned how to make from scratch this chicken curry with like 10 different spices. I've learned how to make eunuch pad thai, which is pad thai without the peanuts,
Aha.
or made by a eunuch. Either way, it works. I've also learned how to make um, sourdough bread,
Oh.
which is great. After having a couple of them turn out as bricks and sadness, they're now turning out well. And I've learned how to make pies,
Mm.
pie sh- pie crust and everything. I've learned how to cook a whole turkey, and yeah, it's been fun actually. Cooking the squash, doing sliced grilled eggplant and things, roasted vegetables, a couple Moroccan dishes. So I've been having a lot of fun. Plus, with the garden, I have all kinds of fresh spices.
Oh
So it's
wow.
been really fun learning how to make that, and also jams. So I've been loving that and learning how to cook, which is going to help. Oh, and I've also learned how to make pasta from scratch,
Oh.
rolling out the pasta dough and everything.
Oh, what a big change.
So it's been fun, which will be great once camps are running up here, and I'll be able to
Mm.
have all these different recipes that I've tried and worked out. And with all the things in the garden, it's great. Plus, I've been learning about some of the different things like how to make tea out of the cedar plants, or
Mm.
how to make sumac-ade, which is a lemonade made out of the berries. And we have so many blueberries up here; it's crazy. The entire island is just covered with them,
Oh wow.
and so we have millions and millions of blueberry plants. So I was able to enjoy and make some of those into all kinds of different things.
Hmm.
And then rosemary and sage. I've been able to use those to make a rosemary sage salt, which is really delicious on things, especially like you pop the popcorn and then you sprinkle some rosemary sage salt on, and it's just delicious.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. I had popcorn last night, and I mean, my boyfriend likes to put like a cheddar dill spice on his, and like that is
Ooh.
some people I guess would like that, but that's not my jam. And I was so like I've always just been a butter salt person, but rosemary sage sounds fantastic.
Well, I will save you a bottle of it, and
Yes.
when we can get together,
Yeah.
or when I can somehow get it to you, then that can happen.
Oh, look at this. That's fantastic. I'll try something new. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I've also learned how to make a red Thai seafood curry, which is really fun.
Wow. Yeah, that's such a big change from not doing any cooking at all to all of that. That sounds so fantastic. Like,
Well, it's been fun. I mean, I knew how to cook some things
yeah.
before this pandemic, but I've learned how to cook a hell of a lot more since.
Absolutely. You mentioned pie crust. Are you a butter or a shortening person?
I am lard.
Lard. Okay.
So tender flake lard I find really works well.
Mm-hmm. I've always been a butter person, but I think that's just because it's the only way I've tried it. I'm not very good
And
at the
I only
rest.
know one way to make it currently,
Mm.
so I'll teach you the lard if you teach me the butter,
Great.
and hey, at worst we'll have 2 extra
I
pies
love
to
pie.
eat. Oh my goodness, it is my favorite thing. For my birthday, even when I was a little kid, I never wanted a birthday cake because, well, you went to a birthday party at least once a month and you got birthday cake. Plus, you got birthday cake in school when someone would have a birthday. So my favorite dessert was a homemade, freshly baked pie,
Mm.
especially blackberry or raspberry pie.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
that's what I wanted for my birthday cake because it was something special and delicious and yummy
Yeah.
and not common like you always got birthday cake. You could get your birthday cake fix everywhere else.
Yeah,
But
exactly. You want something
pie, you
different.
can't get everywhere
Yeah,
else.
no, you want to be special. Oh my goodness. Another question here for you. So, do you have any sort of affirmations or mantras or things you keep reminding yourself of, specifically like while you've been going through tougher times recently?
Well, this past year, and during the hospital,
Hmm.
and before that, I was very much always pushing aside my own feelings or trying to always listen to others and not really sharing as much about myself and not really sharing about how something was making me feel. And so I've much more been trying to find my voice and trying to say, you know what, how you're feeling, Ryan, or how you're feeling, Sky, is really actually important and valuable. And even if it doesn't change anything, sharing it is helpful. So I've been trying to let my friends and chosen family in some more, which is very difficult for me. I have a very difficult time trusting people or letting people in. So I've been trying to work to do that a lot more.
Hmm.
And it's been great. I've had some wonderful experience with it. It's also been really damn tough at times, trying to say, okay, let's share something that's not happy, positive sky blue. I'm having a really shitty day. So instead of hiding that and pretending to be the showman and that everything's great in jazz hands, well, your listeners can't see it, but I actually did jazz hands
Yes, you
just
did.
then because it's fabulous, is to actually say, you know what, this friend or that friend, I'm having a really bad day, and to share that, which is something that I haven't done before. It's always been happy, positive. Glass isn't just half full, it's completely overflowing kind of a personality. So that's been difficult.
And have you found that that's like helped at all, like with your feelings and with your health?
It's helped me
Hmm.
to be a little bit more balanced, and it's also helped me to get closer and to feel closer with other people. People that I knew I could trust, people that I knew were there for me, that had proven that they were there for me,
Hmm.
but that I still didn't allow myself to trust to let in. And so starting to let them in and starting to open up, while painful and difficult and bloody scary at times for me, has been really good. And I think helpful in that it's made me feel closer and more care and allowed me to let people care about me more because they know me more.
Hmm.
So that's something that I'm trying to do, even though it's not necessarily always at the time comforting, because every fiber of my being is screaming, what the hell are you doing, Sky? This is not how we interact. This is not good. This leaves you vulnerable. They are going to know what your buttons are. Yes, you can trust them, but you don't trust them. And so just trying to push through that and say, well, let's try this.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Just like trying to like keep the panel closed on all the buttons and making sure nobody knows like where they can poke at you has been something I've personally worked on for a long time now, and I'm still working on it too. But yeah, it is a really important thing to learn how to open up.
Yeah, difficult,
Oh, yeah.
especially when you've gone through your whole life being very closed and putting on the different facades and masks and playing the parts.
Have you found yourself at all with that trait also trying to be like the problem solver in situations?
Yes,
Yeah.
always. And I love helping friends and people and solving their problems, first of all, because it makes me feel really useful and helpful and good. And also because the focus is on their problems, not mine.
Yep.
Because we can, and turning the conversation around to talk about them, and that's really so much more comfortable to say, oh, how are you doing? And then working on that and concentrating on that and going with that and expanding on that and asking follow-up questions, because the more questions you ask and the more things you say and the more problems we work on with you, well, that's the less time that the spotlight's on me. And I like the spotlight on me on stage, or when I'm having fun, or when I'm leading something, or when I'm playing the role, but not on me.
Yeah, not on the real you and what's going on like in your heart all the time. Like that's not
comfortable. Yeah. But it's important. I'm trying to allow that sometimes.
Absolutely. I think that can help a lot in life, like when you're dealing with people, even when it's people that because when you develop it with people you trust, then you can do a little bit more of it with people who maybe you don't as much, and then maybe get better responses and better interactions out of those people, right? Over time.
Don't think I'm that far yet,
nope.
But I eventually will be, probably.
You will be, yeah, you'll get there. I mean, like, it's something I'm still working on with lots of people, but like specifically, and I'm sure this will come up so many times in the show by the point this episode comes out, it might be like the 25th time I've said it, but like I'm working on it with my father all the time. This man is like the demon in my life. I love him very much. He's still around. We still talk and everything, but like he's the one I'm always trying to just like grind down a little bit, just work on that with. So yeah, you just, and honestly, picking that person, like when you can find the one person that you're like, that's the difficult one. If I can figure out how to communicate with that hard situation, then I'll be fine, because then I can deal with anyone.
Oh yeah, and I've been working on one very difficult person in my life, and it's been tough and difficult, and setting boundaries and demanding respect and equality and empathy. Those three things are the three things that I've not budged on, and there's been a lot of pushback and a lot of difficulty with that, and it hasn't been easy, and it still is not, but it's going.
What would you say is the most success you've had with boundary setting?
At one point in the hospital, this person was getting very heated and yelling and screaming, and I kicked them out. Even though I couldn't sit in my bed, even though I was a complete physical mess, telling them 3 different times to get out, and then they left, and the hospital ended up banning them for not because I told them to, because they came in and took my blood pressure and things, and they said this is not okay to treat a patient, and so that was big. But then afterwards, saying to this person who's in my life that if we were to continue any kind of anything, they needed to set up some kind of a therapy counseling and that was the only way that we were going to reestablish anything. Otherwise, it was done. And so kind of putting that kind of an ultimatum in and saying, the breaking point, no, this is not acceptable, was probably a huge step for me. Not probably, it was a huge step for me, because usually it's always, well, I don't want to make waves, or we're not going to push things, or, well, I can just deal with it. But saying no, and then saying, this is the only way that this is going to happen, and that I won't accept anything less. And then saying, these are my 3 demands. Equality, empathy, and respect are the 3 things that I would demand and I will not budge on, was a big step for me. And that was a big boundary that was set, and it was quite interesting.
Yeah. And so far, have you been able to maintain that boundary for yourself? Like on your end, you've felt like you've held the line on it so far?
Yes, there's been pushback and things, but and they're continuing with the therapy and the counseling.
Oh, so they did go to the therapy and the counseling.
Fantastic. Otherwise it wouldn't we wouldn't be
Yeah,
speaking. It
that's
would
so
be
good.
done.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Hmm.
it's they said that
Hmm.
that was something that they would do, and so we've been doing that.
Hmm. No, that was also, in my opinion at least, a really good boundary to set in terms of requiring them to go seek help, because at least then that's an actionable item. Like, there are so many times even when I was going to therapy where like the therapist would suggest setting a boundary where it was just like really vague and broad, and those I find are just so difficult to hold on to. So good for you for picking something that was like a direct action.
Yes, that we would go to therapy to work on figuring out how to have a healthier relationship,
Hmm. Absolutely. For
or if that
sure.
was even possible.
Exactly. No, it's because you just need that outside opinion and somebody who knows what they're talking about to sort of observe and direct.
Yes.
Yes. So, let's just sort of get along to the end here now. So, what are you most looking forward to?
What I'm most looking forward to is, well, there's a few things. One thing that I'm really looking forward to is when I can have everyone up here to Foxhaven and we can just have an amazing party of great time around the campfire, making food, going for hikes, in the boats, swimming, just having an amazing, wonderful time and able to just all take a collective sigh of relief and just put up a big sheet and have a movie playing and have a giant cuddle pile and just have a great time. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm also really looking forward to getting back on stage. Obviously, one of the big shows that I always do each year is I'm at Anime North, which is a huge giant convention in Toronto. And I work on the Yowie North side of it, which is the LGBT portion, and they have me doing all the shows. So I'm the producer and a performer in the cosplay drag show, which are four different drag performers perform four acts each. So it's amazing because you have only the time when the other three are on stage to change your makeup, your wig, your costume, and then you come up on stage as something completely different, whether it's from an anime or a Disney show or anything, any kind of a movie or a comic or who knows what. So you have everything from Wonder Woman, followed by someone from Harry Potter, followed by someone by Princess Peach, followed by someone from Studio Ghibli film. So it's really great and exciting, and so I can't wait for that. It's almost impossible for it to happen this year, but the year after I can't wait for. And then the night after is always the cosplay burlesque show where five performers do three acts each. So I just can't wait to actually be back in shows, whether it be Rocky Horror, whether it be back at the different burlesque shows or in drag. I look forward to once again taking to the stage and making an audience laugh and shout and applaud and scream and just have the most incredible time of their nights. And with all of my fellow performers, being able to create that together and being with creative people that have a passion and excitement for it. So it's both of those things that I'm really looking forward to and cannot wait till they are actually occurring again.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. You just like made my heart race a little bit. I'm so excited for that as well. Uh, so thank you so much for coming on the show today. Oh my goodness, you've made me so happy. I'm smiling all over from just talking to you. I miss you so much.
Oh, I miss you too. It's going to be
Oh,
great to see you well, to actually see you in person,
yes, in
finally.
person, for real, in real life, for the first time in who knows how long. Oh my God.
Yes, it'll be
Oh,
wonderful. I tell you what, when we see each other in person for the first time,
mhm.
we're making pies.
Yeah, pies. Oh, love it. Okay. Where can people find you? Where do you want people to find you? What are your plugs?
Well, if you go onto Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, you can look for R Foxhaven. So R Foxhaven. It's the same on all of those. If you send a message, I'm the one that curates those. So that's very easy to find. And that's probably the easiest way. And that way you'll be able to see the camp, all the things that we're growing up there, all the things that we're doing, you'll be able to find. And if you have any ideas for camps that you'd like to see, or that you'd like to even help run, or things like, hey, you know what? I enjoy XYZ, and tell me about it, and we'll create a camp together. And
Oh,
so
lovely.
it'll be fun. So those are the three places. And if you want to find any of my performer things, just send me a message there, and I can send you off to those.
Sounds like a good plan. Okay, everybody. So this has been Sky Blue on Sparkling Wine with Dottie Champagne, and I hope that we will talk again soon, my dear.
I look forward to it. You let me know when you want me on again, and we will have a ball with it.
Alrighty. Thanks again to Sky Blue for being my guest this week. Make sure you check him out on social media and also take a look at Fox Haven for great camp events once the world reopens. There are some really gorgeous photos on their Instagram if you like nature, so I truly recommend it. Also, I don't think I said this before, but foxes are my #1 favorite animals, so I hope I'll see some once I finally make my way up there. And that's all for this week. Don't forget to check us out on all the internet doodads at Sparkling Wine Pod. Links are all in the show notes. We're on Patreon at patreon.com/sparklingwinepod. Please visit bit.ly/sparklingwineguest to apply to be a guest on the show, or go to bit.ly/sparklingwinestories if you want to submit a question or story to be read on air. You can find me everywhere at Dottie Champagne. You can find my dog, Duchess Mimosa de Champagne, on Instagram at Duchess_Mimosa_de Champagne. And now let me leave you with the wish that if you have balls, they don't mysteriously swell and try to kill you. Sky assures me it is 0 stars. Do not recommend.